Thank you for tuning in. I'm your host, Ache. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you can't relate, that is totally okay. You can check out past episodes or catch new ones every other Sunday. And who knows, maybe you can relate. It's been almost 10 months since my last episode, but I'm back now. And I swear, this time I'm here to stay. I promise. I promise, but life be life in sometimes, man. That's why I had to go in the first place. 2025 broke me. It chewed me up, spit me out on a cold floor. I was going to name this episode The Year of Hate because 2025 was the first time I had ever really felt the feeling of hatred. And if I had wrote this episode a few months ago, I would have kept that title. But going into December, passing my birthday, I grew so numb and tired to quite literally everything. And the hate just kind of slid right off of me. I just felt defeated. I was tired and over it. I'll get into that in a second. But firstly, I need to say thank you so much from the bottom of my heart to everyone who asked about the show, reached out to ask me when it was coming back, to all the new listeners who found the show and still took a chance on me even though I hadn't posted anything. Thank you for sticking around. Thank you for listening. Thank you for just enjoying the content I already had out. I have so many plans and ideas for Maybe You Can Relate, and with your support, it will happen if it's meant to happen. But without further ado, let me tell you about my year of defeat. It all started back in January. I started off the new year at church, so you already know. I thought this year was going to be the year me and God were going to lock in. I was going to finally feel like a real Christian. So yeah, January started off the year really strong. I had my photo shoot for the new logo. I had made a friend from Cuba and we became like pen pals. I was eating nice, spending less, feeling good. The only sucky thing, I guess, was that school started back up after the holidays and I still worked a job I really hated. And if I thought I hated it back in January, it got 10 times worse as the year continued. February rolled in, and in February, I got back into the gym because I finally got the date for my surgery, which I'll get into after. And I'm really excited to talk about it. But yeah, I got the date and I just knew that I was going to have to lose quite a bit of weight before the surgery. So I got my butt back at the gym. In this time, I tried to go back to church for a few different reasons. I felt like everything was shifting closer to God. Everything felt right. My cousin, who I would have never thought to have any interest in Jesus or religion or church, was starting to get curious, and she bought herself a Bible, and I was telling her a little bit of what I knew, which wasn't much, but, sharing whatever wisdom I thought I had. And it was so wholesome, and I just felt like the world was healing. Not only my cousin, but the friend that I made in Cuba in January was also getting curious, and he doesn't have or didn't have a background in religion at all. And it just made me so happy because it felt like God needed me for something. Like, wow, I'm here talking about Jesus, spreading the word. I feel like I'm doing good. I feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I feel like a real Christian. So I tried church, but church just didn't feel right. I felt like I didn't belong and that I didn't fit in. But that didn't stop me from having and building my own individual relationship with Jesus. I was reading my Bible, listening to worship, looking at sermons and all the things. But anyway, this is also the time when my dad gets really sick with malaria in Ghana. He was so sick that him and the doctors didn't know if he would make it. And my dad getting that sick did such a number on my mental health because it forced me to reflect on everything in regards to my dad, my past, my pain, my trauma. And as a matter of fact, he was so sick that in March, going into March now, his son, my older brother, who I haven't heard from in years, mind you, messages me on Instagram, sending me a paragraph explaining why he had been so distant and how he wants to mend our relationship. And I don't mean to fast forward and spoil the ending here, but he doesn't. He doesn't mend any relationship. And although 98% of me didn't believe him to begin with, that 2% of me really wanted it to be true, because I've always wanted my brothers to act like brothers and to just care about me and to have an interest in my life and in me. So as you can imagine, that also forced me to reflect on the pain my brothers have caused me. And I do want to preface by saying that I don't blame them fully for the pain and the hurt and the distance, but a part of them is still greatly at fault. Now, in March, around this time, my dad was getting worse, and I asked God a lot of questions during this time, and I got no answers. This is when my heart started to break just a little bit, and I was sad all the time. I also went to a female Bible study, and I felt like the odd man out. So many people were crying and praising and singing and really feeling the Holy Spirit, but I just didn't. I don't know why, but I just didn't feel it. I didn't feel him. But I did win a raffle that day. So that was pretty cool. And I I thought that maybe, oh my gosh, my luck is changing. I've never won anything before. I've never won a raffle. So that felt really good. This is also when I started stepping away from the podcast and making my own episodes. I had to start heavily relying on other people hosting their own episodes just so that I can make it to the other Sunday. And you know what? It did very, very well. So I'm very glad that I had people on the show who had such amazing stories to tell, because they all did very well and they were all great hosts. And I'm just so grateful that they were able to fill in that space that I just couldn't at the time. I was also heavily looking for work during this time. Like, I mean, door to door type, bringing my resume in person to different offices, different businesses, spending time applying everywhere and anywhere because I just couldn't bear going into work anymore. I couldn't do it anymore, but I had to. By this point, I had lost 15 pounds, baby, 15 pounds. I hadn't been that small since high school, and it felt really good to accomplish something by my own hand. I finally felt in control of what I wanted, which was to lose weight. Also, during this time, I was relying a lot on distractions. And I've actually made an episode about distractions and how they can be good, but also bad, depending on what the distraction is and why the distraction is there in the first place. And for me, my distractions were TikTok, Netflix, and any random hobby I could find. I taught myself how to crochet, and I started crocheting a blanket, and I will finish it this year. It's on my bingo card, so there will be pictures up when it's done. I got my fishing license and I bought a bunch of fishing gear because my intention was for fishing to be my ultimate escape. And I would just sit down by the lake and just be. But yeah, and this was also the time me and my Cuban friend were no longer friends anymore. It was nice while it lasted, but it is what it is. Now we're in April. In April, I was still pretty heavy in my distractions, and I just wanted to do anything to get my mind off everything. I went to the Toronto Food and Drink Fest to support my friend's booth called The Top Shelf Spirit. Look them up. In April, I also made my last episode, and I didn't even know it. I didn't know it was going to be my last episode. I thought that if I had recorded this episode and put my goals out there, that I would magically get it done. But that's not what happened. That's not how it works. After I posted that episode about staying consistent and just doing better, even though it's hard, things started to feel harder. Honestly, a lot of it had to do with my dad and my brothers in the back of my head and just getting rejected from all those jobs. I was getting the runaround and I just was so sick of it and so annoyed and so frustrated. But I was still continuing with the gym and work and school. Also, me and Bass Pro by this time became besties. I was even like friending up the people that worked in the fishing department, and they were so supportive of my new fishing journey. So I love them. My dad also came back this month and he went directly from the airport to the hospital, and he was there for quite a while. He couldn't walk, he couldn't eat on his own, he couldn't do anything, and it was very hard to watch. I also had my last therapy session during this time. Perfect timing. It was literally a breakup. She was on to bigger and better things, but my pockets could not join her. My therapist had been such a safe space for me, and now I didn't have the space anymore. Funny thing is that I thought I was going to be okay, and I told her that, but I'd soon realized that I was not going to be okay. Now we're in May. This is when things really started to turn left. This is where I started to lose myself and I was spiraling for days. I started summer school. Now, if you've heard my old episodes, I swore I would never, ever go to summer school because I just knew that it would be such a detriment to my mental health. I knew that. I knew I would hate being at school when the weather was warm and nice and the sun was out. I just knew it. But if I wanted to graduate earlier and get the heck out of school, I did not have a choice. So in my first semester of school, because I had summer school not only for one semester, but for 2 semesters. So I spent the entire summer doing schoolwork. I had school Monday to Thursday in person. What does that mean? I had to cut my hours at work, which meant I was making less money, which meant I was stressing out because I didn't know how I was going to pay for my stuff. On top of that, summer school messed me up so bad that I started to question my career goals. I no longer wanted to be a therapist. I didn't want to go back to school to get my master's. I didn't want to help anyone anymore. I just wanted to help myself because I knew I was losing my mind. I was taking 3 classes in the first semester, and with summer school, everything is fast-tracked. It's fast-paced, so it was a lot. And I've talked about it before. I'm not book smart, so it takes a lot more out of me to get things done for school. And it was just a lot. So naturally, my need for distractions to calm my nerves down got worse, and I started eating a little bit more. Not too much, because I knew my surgery was coming up. I was still dieting, but I was having more cheat days than I should have. I also completely isolated myself for like 2 or 3 weeks. I don't even remember. Like this whole year, I could barely remember. I had to look through my pictures to even make this episode because I just could not remember. I deactivated Instagram at this time and I wasn't talking to any of my friends, like literally not answering anyone. I tried to go fishing, but I just didn't have any free time. All my free time was spent studying or at work. And unfortunately, I couldn't go to the gym anymore, not only because I couldn't find the time to go, but I just couldn't afford it anymore because I was making less money. By June, school had completely broken me. I decided that I was going to lock my hair after surgery. I just needed something different and something I didn't need to worry so much about. And locks are the perfect style for that. My skin was breaking out like crazy, obviously because of stress and eating and more heat and just not taking care of myself anymore. My dad was still in the hospital. but he started doing a little bit better by this point. And by the end of the month, the semester finally came to an end. And then June 30th, me, my mom, and my little sister went to the Bahamas. It was a very nice trip. I definitely needed it. We all did. It gave me a moment to just sit down without worrying about work or assignments or exams or money. It was calm. It was nice. The trip was 5 days, so that takes us into July. We came back from the Bahamas and I was super tanned and I was ready to take on my second semester because it was just one class and it was online. Light work in comparison to what I had just experienced. And then my surgery. I got a breast reduction. I'm going to make an episode about that entire experience, because I'm just going to run through my year quickly. But it is the best decision I have made for my adult self. So now, mind you, I had 2 weeks off of work to heal from the surgery. And when I tell you, those 2 weeks were the best 2 weeks of the entire year, I was so happy. Like, genuine joy in those 2 weeks. I started my lock hair journey. I started watching Big Brother. Great show, by the way. 10 out of 10. I see why people watch it all the time. I joined a new beautiful gym with a pool and a sauna and very nice looking employees. I felt so confident in my own skin. It was amazing. I was picking up more hobbies. I started learning Korean because I just wanted to do something new while feeling so new and happy. I was on cloud 9. I even went back to work and things still felt good. Customers were being nice to me. I'm smiling more. My skin is clearing up. I'm just like, wow, life is worth living. My dad even started walking again this month. Then August came. The spark starts to fizzle out. I'm confused. What just happened? This is when my spiritual warfare journey started. Of course, I finally start to feel better. And then this happens. I meet a guy. Stay tuned for the next episode to hear about that. I meet a guy. I started feeling very lost in life, especially with God. Now, I was still paying for this beautiful gym, but I had to stop going because 1, I was spending too much time seeing this guy, and 2, I was working all the time and like 14-hour shifts plus school. But I was still paying for this gym because I love this gym. Silly? Sure. Worth it? Maybe not. My dad went home this month and summer school finally came to an end closer to the end of the month. I had like 2-ish weeks off until September, so I spent most of it working. Now we're in September. I stopped talking to the guy. It only lasted 28 days. I'm glad. As a matter of fact, I wish it was shorter, but it is what it is. I fasted for 3 days. No food, no water, just me and my thoughts. And I thought God was going to come and give me some sort of revelation or reassurance that things were going to be okay, or hug me in my dreams or something, anything. But that didn't happen, and that made things worse. Everything in my head went dark. I was so negative, so down, so angry, and then school started back up. I did fall in love with Pokemon. That was fun. What a time. But I also fell into a dark hole in my mind. I cried every day, and I was in so much pain, not only mentally, but physically and spiritually. And I think I started watching BoJack Horseman again. By this point, I had watched it like 8 or 9 times, beginning to end. My favorite show ever. And this is when I started binge eating, like real bad. I became addicted to chocolate. It was my kryptonite. Not 1 or 2 little chocolate bars a day. I mean 3 to 5 chocolate bars a day. And I was just always eating. And I was just always eating. And I know it was to fill dead space in my days. If I was bored, I'm eating. If I was tired, I'm eating. If I was sad, I'm eating. If I was watching a show, I'm eating. If it was slow at work, I'm eating. I was always eating all the time. All my money was going to food, and it was really bad. Now we enter November. November was different, but not better. By this point, I just wanted the year to end, and I was so over everything. I had cried so much that I could not cry anymore. I was emotionally numb. And on top of that, I was extremely burnt out. I was working so much, and I was also in my final semester before getting my degree. So the pressure was on. Something new did happen though. I started to hate men. Me. Hate men. Remember, I'm a lover girl. To the bone. Or at least I was. But I was doing so much reflecting and my mind would not stop running that I was thinking about my past all the time. Like I was obsessive about my past. I was thinking a lot about my life before the pandemic and how much hope I had and how youthful I felt. I was angry and hateful towards the pandemic for taking that away from me. I was angry and hateful towards everyone that hurt me because I could not stop thinking about it. And unfortunately, very heavy on unfortunately, everyone who hurt me were men. And I didn't have my therapist to help me organize my thoughts and walk me through it like she used to. I felt so misunderstood. I was so anxious physically, like my body was always shaking. I was so angry. I was experiencing migraines and bad, like waking up with migraines. And I could just feel my heart turning into stone. I gained back all the weight I had lost and then some. And it made me so mad at myself because how could I let myself go? My food and chocolate addiction did not get any better. Eating was like smoking a cigarette for me. It would instantly calm my nerves, even if it was for like 10 minutes. And I always needed that hit, something sweet, something good. I just needed something to eat. I was craving the feeling of freedom this entire time because I felt like I was a prisoner to my thoughts. I hated my thoughts, but I didn't know how to shut them up. So I just let them talk and talk and talk, and I believed so much of it. The voices were so loud, and I was so tired. By December, I had stopped praying. I hadn't been able to cry like a good, deep, break the chains type of cry. And I haven't been able to physically feel the emotions I knew I had. And that was very weird for me because I'm a crybaby. So I used to schedule in crying because I knew I felt like it needed to get out. But now I try and it just does not come out. And I feel so congested. Till now, I still haven't been able to like really fully feel and cry and just break down. I haven't. And it's so heavy. But anyway, I finished my final exam and I thought that was going to be the moment where I could finally feel my emotions again. But it felt like any other exam. I felt nothing. Like I just finished university. What's not clicking? I just accomplished something that I didn't think I was capable of accomplishing since I was in high school. And I felt nothing. I quit my job of 5 years, a job I couldn't stand anymore, a job that drained the life out of me, a job that made me hate waking up in the mornings, to the point that customers would notice that something was wrong with me because I physically looked drained. And I felt nothing on my last day. My last day was January 1st, and I felt nothing. In December, close to my birthday, I just put my white flag up. I just had to accept that this year was not it. I accepted that it was too late for things to turn around this year. I accepted that I no longer have a relationship with God, and maybe I'm not meant to. So I took my white flag and I waved it up in the sky, and I was done fighting. And as soon as I accepted it, it's like everything got quiet and I felt like I can breathe a little better. December really made me realize how much the ability to feel is linked to freedom, because to not feel is to be a prisoner in your own body, because then you're trapped with this eerie feeling of this means a lot to me, but I can't feel it, good or bad. But the same thing is in reverse. Having a lot of really heavy feelings all the time can also feel like prison because it's exhausting and sometimes even suffocating to feel so much so deeply all the time. So I'm hoping that in 2026, I'm able to find that sweet spot where I'm able to feel everything and free myself, but also be grounded enough that I don't get carried away in my emotions like before. Now, don't get me wrong. There were a lot of amazing things that happened in 2025. My best friend got baptized and strengthened her faith and walk with Christ. My other best friend got pregnant and she's giving me a niece. Another best friend got engaged to her love. I got like 100 new followers on the pod, even though I wasn't posting. But people also died. People got sick. People got hurt. But that's life. A new listener messaged me on Instagram and she sent me this beautiful message that just felt so good to read, brought tears to my eyes. And she reminded me about my very first episode, The Year of Tears, where I say that all the tears that I've cried in 2023 watered the garden that is about to bloom and flourish in 2024. And it reminded me that everything that happened in 2025 and before has only made me stronger for the years to come. That's what life is all about, I think. It is continuous learning, a lot of ups and a lot of downs. And it's either I get on board with that or I stay miserable. And I don't want to stay miserable. So this year I'm doing whatever it takes to get my spark back because I completely lost it last year. And I hate that that happened. I hate who I became because of it. So I'm running a tight ship this year. I'm saying yes to happiness. I'm saying yes to the things that matter to me. I'm saying yes to freedom, even if it's difficult, because optimistic people won't understand, but a pessimistic person will get it. It is so much easier to choose the negative because it feels like you're protecting yourself if it doesn't work, if it doesn't happen, if you don't get it. Misery is easy. Getting up and choosing yourself to do better and to be better is hard. But I hate what happened last year. I hate how I felt. I hate how much my mind took over every aspect of my life. So yeah, even if it's difficult, I'm gonna do whatever it takes to never feel like that again. 2025 was a tough year for a lot of us. So many of us were collectively going through it. So what I hope for me and anybody else who had a year, I hope we break free from the heaviness that was last year and that this year feels light and hopeful and freeing and youthful and fun and magical and special. I just want us all to enjoy the journeys that we're on because we don't know if we'll ever make it to where we want to go. That's why they always say it's about the journey and not about the destination because you actually don't know if you'll make it there. So enjoy the sights that you'll see on the way and the experiences that you will experience on the way. I am so excited to be back podcasting and I'm hoping to achieve all the things that I want for the pod this year. I have so many ideas and I really hope you guys stick around to see it all unfold. Thank you so much for listening. If your 2025 was a flop, I'm sorry. And I hate that you had to experience that. I hope this year is different and I hope this year you can relate to better things. We are in this together. Like, follow, comment, subscribe, download, and most importantly, share this with people who get it. And who knows? Maybe you can relate.